And we are back to talk about Loki, episode 5, the episode that I've been waiting for after that Endgame like ending.
Yeah.
And I thought, off the bat, I thought it was a very fine episode that will set up everything going forward, but you really liked it.
Yeah, it was my favorite one so far. Yeah, I mean, first off, like, it was just really well directed and well paced. Like, just the starting in the beginning where he's like walking through the hallways and then they just kind of do these cuts. Unusual overcuts where it's like, they're keeping Loki in the same position while changing the environment around him, which is not something that's done very often. But it's just how a lot of the scenes were framed was just really well balanced and things like that. I mean, it was just beautifully directed episode. But it was also just kind of fun. It was just fun going to these different environments and seeing where these characters were from. And I'm not saying that, like, time travel never makes sense, but like I think it was just like the acting and the direction and the fun of the episode was at a level where I just like didn't care. And I was just like, this is really cool. That's all, And it's funny because I was hating on the first 4 episodes pretty hard, right? And then this one is just kind of like, I mean, I don't know. It just connected with me more.
I would argue this episode was more lukewarm than all the others. This episode was a nice little sizzle before the Big Bang, and you're saying you liked it more.
Oh yeah, I did. And maybe I was just a sucker for like Loki in a bar having a drink, but Loki and Sylvie in a bar having a drink. But I don't know. A lot of the jokes I thought were funny and like landed and stuff like that. Like, like when God, what's Short Round's like character's name?
I believe, I don't know his real name, but OB.
That's it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. OB, when OB comes back and he's like, oh, that was fast. And he's like, fast? 19 months. My wife left me. And like, and then it's just like a thrown away like line. I don't know. I thought it was just some stuff was fun in that. I don't know why you thought it was lukewarm. I really dug it. I really dug the atmosphere and the direction and the acting and just going to the different people's plots and it was fun. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I didn't dislike the episode. I think it was lukewarm compared to last episode, which I thought was just fucking great. And I hate saying that because I don't want you to think like I need action, nonstop excitement for it to be good. There were some great scenes, specifically the bar, Sylvie in the record store. I just love the realization that, and because you've been saying what's Loki's motivation the entire season, you finally have it.
They finally have it. I mean, you know how I've been screaming, like, why is everybody doing this? And then they have a whole scene about that. In fact, the whole episode is about it, right? He's like the question is why, the question of fiction is why. And it's like, yes, this is what I've been asking the whole time, the story. Like, why is everybody doing this? And they finally answer it. Like, Loki is doing this because he wants friends. But it worked well. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I mean, Tom Hiddleston sold it.
Oh, 100%. I would say this would have been a great episode earlier on, but right before, like right after that finale and here.
Right. This might be a show that would be better binged. Because you're right that all of these things that I was sort of like poking at the weaknesses of the show, saying that, oh, the characters are just doing stuff. And then, like, for instance, Sylvie here, we finally see Sylvie's life on, like, why she liked hanging at McDonald's and stuff. Like, you see a little bit of, like, oh, she has a friend and she loves music and she loves chilling out, like, oh, like, that makes sense versus I work at fucking McDonald's, like, right? It's like, what is so great about her life? Oh, she works at McDonald's. Well, we didn't learn anything. Now we finally get a little slice of her life that she has like a friend and she likes music and you're like, oh, we should have had that earlier.
Ironically, she also makes a very good point at the bar. Like, your friends, they have lives now. leave him
Yeah.
to it. They
Right.
they like they're going back, and he's like, well, no, but they're the choice. They don't have the choice. They can join the TVA, right? But this is their lives before that, so
Right.
why? What's the point? Interesting questions were brought up this episode, and I liked it, but I have to wonder the whole time slipping thing.
Hmm.
He completely cheated during that last episode. Everyone is gone. However,
Right.
he time slipped away before it, like, really got him.
Hmm.
I have to wonder if he's really somehow controlling the time slipping, or someone is placing him in these specific points in time from another point in
Right.
time.
But this gets into the common trope of like a bunch of shit happened, none of it made sense. Ford planned it all. You know, like this is our whole thing, right? Like none of this, like a bunch, like let's be honest, a lot of random shit is happening on Loki. Him just like gaining the ability to time slip out of nowhere, and then conveniently time slipping to everywhere he needs to be. Like I get it, that's it's pretty fucking contrived. And the answer in the end is either going to be his subconscious has been doing it the whole time, or he who remains has been doing it the whole time. You know, or something like that.
Let me throw a curveball at
Or
you.
Ford planned it all, or time traveling Bran. You know, it's gonna be one of those, right? And like those are gonna be the answers, right?
Let me throw a curveball at you.
Okay.
What if, because of the snake eating its tail, what if Loki was somehow the guy who really made the TVA?
Right. I mean, I think like self-fulfilling time loop is it can have that too, right? Oh, we need a cause for everything. How about no cause? Self-fulfilling time loop. Oh, okay. You know, like there's always that one.
Yeah. By the way, he was kind of technically they were missing one person, Victor Timely, because the whole thing is like you need everyone who was in that room to like be here, and he's like, all right, cool. But Victor Timely wasn't there, so he forgot to get that guy.
Because Victor Timely was on the gangplank, right? So I guess they could claim that he wasn't there, but you're kind of right. He wasn't very far. But
also,
I mean,
he said how he needs all his friends. Him and B-15, were they friends? Were they like
right? like I understand Mobius and I understand Sylvie, but he barely knew OB or B15 or B15. B15. What is it? Is it B15?
Hunter B-15, yeah.
Hunter B-15.
And he barely knew Casey.
He barely knew Casey, and he doesn't like Casey. So like, I understand Mobius and I understand Sylvie, but yeah, the rest of them, it's like, no. I mean, why not fucking? Well, I mean, he wasn't in the room, but it's like, why not fucking throw in Brad? You know, like,
It's true. Also, you're gonna need way more people than like those 5 to run the TVA. No Kate Dickey, like, and her people. No random guy in the back, or the guy that got a cup of coffee. Like,
it's like the end of The Last Jedi, where the rebellion's like 12 people, and you're like, I think we're gonna need more than 12 people, guys.
But no, I agree with you. Not a lot to say about the episode, other than that I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine. But compared to the last episode, it kind of feels like Ahsoka episode 7, when 6 was so good. 7 kind of like slowed it down just a tad.
Yeah, see, this is just different for me, because it's like, for me, I'm getting all of a lot of the answers that I've been craving the entire, and when I mean answers, I don't mean like plot points. I mean like character motivation. I'm getting the character motivation that I've been wanting for the entire series, Sylvie and Loki, and understanding these things, and getting that. While you're, I think you're more interested in like the story beats, while I'm more interested in like the character motivations. So I think that's why like we have a different opinion on that. Because you're kind of right that like, I can see what you're saying, that it's a little like, because you love penultimate episodes. You talk about this all the time. You want the tension to be built up and the stakes to be set in the penultimate episode, so that everything can fucking go down in the last episode. And in a sense, the stakes were in the 4th episode, and this is an interlude, and then everything's going down in the last episode. And so I understand how it's a little different in how you're kind of expecting things with like how a story climaxes.
Well, let me ask you this: do you still understand how he can control the time slipping thing?
I mean, it's just he gets to the point where he like wants to do it, right? The thing that motivated him in the end was seeing Sylvie die. And so he knew he really wanted it. You know, and so he could finally control it because he saw the most important thing that he really cares about. And I mean, in a general sense, he saw his friends die, but like most importantly, he saw Sylvie die. And so at that point, like he subconsciously like hit that moment of awakening. And I'm fine with that.
But how did he get that power?
He really wanted it. It was inside his heart the whole time.
I feel like you're fucking with me.
No. I mean, this is like just basic trope, right? It's just, you know, like he willed it because like through the power of love, like he willed it. And like earlier in the episode, they talked about how like, you know, it was kind of set up as a joke, but Obi's just like, do it. Just time travel. And he's like, what? How? Just, I'll try. Yeah,
that's
try
insane.
harder.
That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Like, how does he have that? I thought it was some kind of glitch in the Matrix, or maybe He Who Remains did something to him. Or
but it's fundamentally the same as like using the Force or using magic or whatever.
That's not how the Force works, Preston.
It's exactly how the fucking Force works. You just
Really?
fucking will it, and it happens, right? You go.
Oh, that's right. Sabine and that's right.
Right, but you know it's the same. But I'm not. This is the original trilogy too. I mean,
Was
it's
it
freaking.
trilogy?
I mean, Luke just sitting there, hanging upside down, trying to get that lightsaber out of the snow. You know, like that's just how it's done. Just how it's done. You just will it. You know.
By the way,
you concentrate hard and you pray. You know, like
speaking of Victor Timely, He Who Remains, all that stuff. So Jonathan Majors.
Speaking of,
Speaking of Jonathan Majors, that whole thing's going to trial, and Marvel executives.
Good times.
Well, Marvel executives don't have the balls that the DC executives does, where they're completely okay with ignoring Ezra Miller's crimes. But
they're too
going
far along on that. They were too far along. Like that Flash project had been going on for years, and they're just like, we need to get this movie out.
Well, Marvel executives have now begun to reconsider focusing on Jonathan Majors as Kang for the next saga, and the backup plan might be pivoting to Doctor Doom. Now, I'm not a big Fantastic Four guy. I think you might be, because I always remember...
I read the Doctor Doom. I read Fantastic Four quite a bit, actually, when I was young, yeah.
And, something we always harken back to is what Comic Book 119 always love to say is that the Fantastic Four, She-Hulk, and Spider-Man and X-Men, those are like the A-list ones. And I know a lot of comic fans love Doctor Doom. What do you think about that? Like, can Doom really come in and, like, save this saga? Because it was supposed to be Kang, now it might not be. Can Doom really, like, take the reins on that?
Well, the fact that they're actually calling it Secret Wars kind of has in place, like, you've actually removed Doom as the primary antagonist and, like, put in Kang, when that's not how Secret Wars was. Secret Wars, the primary antagonist, is either the Beyonder or Doom. It's what, you know, and like I say, the last 3 issues of Secret Wars is a really great story. So Secret Wars was a 12-issue limited series, mainly created to sell toys, back in the early 80s. And it was created because they, honest to God, this is a true story. They did focus groups with little kids, and they're like, what words are like the ones that excite kids the most in toys? And they found that the word secret and the word wars, like got the most. Like, yeah, this is completely true. And so Secret Wars became the name of it. And so they released these Secret Wars action figures, which I had a few. And so they needed a comic book to like promote them. And so they created the Secret Wars, the Secret Wars comic, where the Beyonder, for no reason at all, is an all powerful entity who transports all of the superheroes onto a planet to battle called Battle World and they do nothing for fucking they do nothing for 9 issues. But then the last 3 issues is just a fucking baller fucking story. And the only problem is that it's a little too close in plot to the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity War. In the sense that it's about like someone gaining omnipotent power and then what they do with it. In Thanos' case, it's eliminate half of the universe, but because he's in love with death. But like, Doctor Doom gains the Beyonder's infinite power, and then so it's the plots are maybe too close, But
so Doctor Doom is critical to this Secret Wars thing.
In the original Secret Wars. Now keep in mind that there's been there was a Secret Wars 2 and another Secret Wars in after the year 2000. I don't know the year, but there's the original Secret Wars and then there's subsequent Secret Wars, because it's just the term they go back to sell comics. But so they can do anything with it. But in the original story, it's a really fucking cool story. It's have I ever explained it to you? I want to spoil it because it's such a it's just like it's such a you're never gonna read it, and I feel like a summary isn't like, look, Doctor Doom decides to steal the Beyonder's power. So he so the character from Black Panther, the one played by Andy Serkis,
the Claw guy.
Claw, yeah. So Claw in the comic books is made of pure sound and he's energy. So like Doctor Doom takes his body and just leaves him with a head, and then enhances his own power and fights the Beyonder and defeats the Beyonder and steals all of the Beyonder's power and his infinite power. So at that point, he's like, well, great. I'm going to do what I always wanted to fucking do. I'm going to drop a nuclear warhead on all of the superheroes. And so he does.
Jesus.
He nukes and kills all of the fucking superheroes. End of the comic. Except the next comic happens, and you're just like, oh. And Doctor Doom is all powerful. He's repaired his face, and he's given Claw his body back. And Claw's like, this is really great. He's like, and Doctor Doom's like, yeah, I'm very happy. I'm having a great day. And Claw's like, but the thing is, something's been gnawing at me. And Doctor Doom's like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, it's just that you dropped a nuclear warhead on all the superheroes, and they're most certainly dead. And he's like, yes. But he's like, but here's the thing. Isn't there a chance that Colossus, because he's like made of like really durable metal, that like he would not have been destroyed as much as like everybody else? And Dr. Doom's like, yeah, I guess there's like a chance, but like, who cares? He's still dead. He's like, right, but the thing is, we're on this alien world, and there's this chance that like the alien race on this planet has like the ability to resurrect like people. And there's a chance that like Colossus was actually in a love affair with one of the local like girls.
You're kidding me.
And that this local girl could come and find like Colossus's body among the remains of all the dead superheroes and be distraught and transfer her like life's essence into Colossus and like bring him back to life. And Dr. Doom is like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, the chances of that is so infinitesimally small. Like, what are you talking about? That there would be like an alien race of people like that can transfer their life essence, and that Colossus was in love with them? He's like, what are you talking about? And even if that happened, even if that like slim, like 1 in a quadrillion probability of that happening, it's just Colossus. like he's a nobody. And Claw's like, yeah, you're right. But here's the thing. And he's like, Colossus could find Reed Richards' body, who would also not have been destroyed as much because Reed Richards is, elastic and stuff. So, and Colossus, using that same alien technology, could resurrect Reed Richards. And like, Dr. Doom's like, oh my God, this is so stupid. Like, okay, fine. Like, there's a small possibility, but even if that were the case, like, Reed Richards is just one man. And he's like, yeah, but the thing, Reed Richards is a genius, right? And he could adapt that alien technology to then create a resurrection chamber and slowly, like, regenerate every single one of the superheroes and bring them all back to life. And Dr. Doom is just like, oh my God, this is just like so stupid. Like, no, that didn't happen. There's no alien race on the planet. There's like, Colossus was not in a love affair with one. Colossus like did not get like his life like force transferred back to him and then resurrect Reed Richards, who then like built this entire shit like resurrection machine to resurrect all of the other like superheroes. That's stupid. And then at that point, the hammer of Thor comes bashing through the wall, and all the superheroes are back to life. And they come in and they go into a big fight, and then it turns out that the Beyonder had taken control of Claw's body. And what Claw was doing is, because Dr. Doom was omnipotent, by making him imagine this very unlikely scenario, he made it happen.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's so stupid, but so fucking cool. As a comic kid, like, that's so stupid. I love that so much.
Right? Like, because you're reading it and you're like, what? But it was like, oh, right, he's omnipotent. He's imagining it happen as Claw is like telling this long story. And so because he's omnipotent, he's making it happen. And so it happened. And that's how all the superheroes get back. And it was just like, it's just such a clever, fun plot line and create like fun little story, but they're not going to do that.
Fucking hell no, they're not going to do that. I hate how much I fucking love that, but it's so stupid. It's so dumb, but I love that so much.
Like, even you're like, you're listening to it, you're like, this is so dumb. Like what?
Damn, what the fuck? Yeah. Comics did not fuck around back in the day. Jesus Christ.
Right. Though, great ideas. I mean, why do you think I fucking fell in love with him and like read him for so long? But
Dr. Doom?
I mean, Fantastic Four and everything. I mean, I just there was really a lot of great creativity back then. I'm not saying they were all great. Like I say, the first 9 issues of Secret Wars suck. They're just nothing. But then like the last 3, I'm like, man, that's a fucking fun story. That's a really fun story.
What I was going to assume that they were going to do with Secret Wars, if they were going to include Kang instead of Dr. Doom, is have Kang be the guy that all the Avengers and all the heroes throughout like all the multiverse fight. So you're going to have like the original Fantastic Four from the Fox movies back in the early 2000s. They were going to fight this Kang, Jonathan Majors Kang. You're going to have like the X-Men from Days of Future Past with Sophie Turner's Jean Grey fight Kang. Like, that's what I assumed they were going to do. Like, no Doom, or maybe Doom. They're going to dig up the fucking actor from Doom in the early 2000s. Right. The guy who's on Nip Tuck.
Here's the thing, is just because Jonathan Majors, like, if you want to recast Kang, fucking recast Kang. Like, it's fine. Like, just recast him. Like, you recast, there's been a lot of recast. You recast fucking the Hulk. Like, fucking recast Kang.
And War Machine,
like,
yeah.
And War Machine and stuff like that. Like, just, it's fine. Like, don't worry about it. Just recast him.
You know who people were saying to recast him with?
Who?
Abu Bakr Salim, the guy who played Father in Raised by Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're both incredible actors. I mean, Jonathan Majors is a great actor. I mean, whatever but like, yeah, he'd be great too. But man, oh well. So we'll see. I mean, I saw the headlines too. Like, maybe they're going to try to get like Robert Downey Jr. back and stuff like that. But the thing is this all kind of buys into this Disney's panicked narrative that I'm not sure it actually exists. Like, yes, like all streaming services and all movies had a big hit this summer. Except for Barbie, the Barbie and Oppenheimer made money, so like, for people to be like, oh, Disney needs to mix things up to get their money back. It's like, well, I mean, do they? Or is it just like the whole industry is getting hit with the same kind of thing? So I don't know.
That's an interesting question, because I saw that a lot of people were very upset for some reason that She-Hulk got a $250 million budget, which I'm assuming went mostly to CGI. That's movie budget. That's like a budget for a movie. And in hindsight, I would love to see how She-Hulk did. If the numbers of people who've watched She-Hulk justified the budget, because that's what we would have to talk about.
Right.
On one hand, a budget like that should only be justified if, like, you have something like Stranger Things coming back where everyone's going to watch it. If not, like, the most you could do is maybe make a movie instead of a show. Because at that point, you might as well, right?
Well, I mean, you could look at it another way. Pinocchio, the live action Pinocchio, that's starring Tom Hanks, that everybody hates. You know about that one?
Yeah, there's so many, but honestly, there's been so many Pinocchios in the last year.
In 2022, Tom Hanks was in a Pinocchio movie that was kind of universally panned, and it cost $150 million to make.
Jesus.
And it went straight to Disney Plus streaming. Like, they didn't release it in theaters.
Huh.
So like, to see something like I'm positive more people watched She-Hulk than the fucking Tom Hanks Pinocchio movie.
Mostly.
Like, and now also remember that, like, Disney functions a little differently from other movie studios, because they're also thinking about their parks and their sales of different, like, toys and items, right? So like, when they're like, oh, can we sell She-Hulk dolls? Can we sell She-Hulk shirts and stuff like that? Is that also, like, brings in revenue and stuff like that. So like, there's things like that they think about. But I don't think She-Hulk is the one that. I don't think She-Hulk is one that people really think of being a financial failure, right? Like, everyone was talking about She-Hulk. It seems like everybody watched She-Hulk. I mean, I have no data on that because Disney doesn't release their data, but when I think of, like, the number of videos on YouTube and stuff like that I saw passing with my eyes, like, and when I talk to people, oh, did you watch She-Hulk? Oh yeah, I watched it. Well, if I mention some other show, I don't get that kind of, like, response. So I do think people watched it.
My main issue is that, like, because once again, coming back to Comic Book Girl 19, stuff that you have said, She-Hulk, A-list, Deadpool, A-list, X-Men, Fantastic Four, A-list, Spider-Man, A-list. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I understand that Marvel had this interesting thing where very early on, they took B-list and even C-list heroes and made them popular.
Right. Like
sure.
Iron Man, yes.
Like Iron Man. And Thor and Hawkeye and Scarlet, Black Widow. But
yeah, I mean, Vision and the Scarlet Witch are, like, they're down in sea level. I mean, they were just Avengers. I mean, random. In fact, they were West Coast Avengers. Like, they were, like, down the list.
I think the time has come to stop focusing on B and C list, especially for shows, if those shows are going to cost so much more money. Because, no offense to, like, I'm not trying to be one of those guys, but I don't think Miss Marvel and her stretchy powers in the comics was, like, A-list or B-list or even C-list, yet they spent a whole lot of money on that. I understand that representation for these young girls and for this culture is important, but at the same time, at the end of the day, this is a business. What makes money?
Well, I would
And
say at the beginning of the day, it's a business, and Disney doesn't care about representation. What they care about is marketing to little girls, um, who's like growth for their industry, And so, um, you know, Kamala Khan, whether Ms. Marvel was a good show or not, it was not. But Kamala Khan is really charismatic, and for an entire generation of young girls, they're now going to, have this like show that they can watch, and they're going to grow up, and all of a sudden they're going to be watching other Disney shows, and this is what Disney's thinking about. They're thinking about the toys they can sell, breaking through into a female audience. That's what they're worrying about. They're not, they're thinking about it in the same sense as like Barbie, like yeah, you can it's the same with the Barbie movie. Like Barbie movie I thought it was great, but it's there's the lip service of the movie, and then there's actually like the business side. They know that they're marketing to women, and they're it's a movie that people are going to see, and all these people had Barbies growing up, and it's got Margot Robbie, who's one of the hottest actors around, and Ryan Gosling as well. Like, come on, you're going to make some money off that. So, and you can sell Barbies on top of it. Yeah.
to piggyback off the conversation we had your past stream, when I asked, when I said the Marvels, who asked for this? Someone in the comments made a very good point. Captain Marvel made $1 billion at the box office.
Yeah.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Marvel did. Miss Marvel and Monica Rambeau, not so much. Now, if you're going to do a Captain Marvel sequel, I'm sure that will make a lot of money as well. But for the most part, Captain Marvel will be sharing the spotlight with two other comic characters that are not as popular as she is. So she's going to be in the movie, at least. She's going to be sharing the spotlight a third of the time. And in my opinion, it should have been Captain Marvel 2, and then have the other two characters come in. Still focus on Captain Marvel and have that the sequel. But instead, what they chose to do is make her, one of the three main leads, which I personally think they shouldn't have done, because the first one made so much money, and here it is. It's technically the sequel to Captain Marvel, but also not the sequel. So...
Yeah, but I mean, I suppose people can go back and like say you're a little girl who likes Captain Marvel. Okay, you find out Captain Marvel sequel is coming out. You go see Captain Marvel sequel. You see Kamala Khan in the movie. All of a sudden, you're like, "Who's this Kamala Khan?" You go to Disney and you watch the old Ms. Marvel show. Like. That can be a process of and people are gonna or you hear that the Captain Marvel sequel's coming out, and so you're like, oh, I better watch this Ms. Marvel show so I know what's going on. So in a sense, like you get a built-in audience to for all of those people that watched Captain Marvel who want to see Captain Marvel 2.
I see where you're coming from, but I guess at the end of the day, we'll just have to see how well it does. Preston, on that note, do you mind if we wrap it up here?
Sounds good.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. As always, we'll see you all next time. Have a good one.